Go.
Hi everyone. I just wanted to introduce myself. I know you all looked at my first opening video for what I've done here at Rebuilding Life Gardens, but I'm new to YouTube. I'm new to this process, and I just want all of you to know that this is something that I'm extremely passionate about. I've been doing it over the past 9 to 10 months, and I'm still learning. So I'm not going to claim to be an expert. I'm not going to claim to lecture you. I just want to provide beneficial content to you that you can take value from and start your own gardening process. And just introduce myself and show you around a little bit in this opening video. The first thing I would like to say is there are a few people that inspired me to start this process. One of them is Jake Mace. He started his own Tempe Food Forest, which you can check out his channel on YouTube. And he did a beautiful job. It was amazing. The other inspiration I had was Ron Finley. His name's the Gangster Gardener out of California. And he started planting on parkways, which are they're along the road between the sidewalk and the dirt in the house. He actually ended up getting a whole bunch of fines imposed against him against the city, and he ended up winning in the end, and the city eventually let him garden and plant in those parkways, and since then he started just dozens. And it was just a huge inspiration to me as far as what we can do if we decide to garden as a community. Personally, I've been working on this, and it's not easy, but some of the best takeaways that I can encourage anyone, especially new gardeners, is just start planting. Doesn't matter how small. You can get a little planter, plant some herbs, plant some flowers. Just start, and then you can figure it out from there. That's how I did it. As you can see from my introduction video, I just started and figured it out step by step as the months and weeks went by, or weeks and months I should say. But yeah, please come with me and check out what I've been doing so far. I battle with a lot of things in my neighborhood. One of them is, and I actually got to come out here tomorrow, is I do unfortunately still have a lot of people that litter. This is a little bit sad. But I come out and I pick up the litter and I manage the litter, considering the fact that I'm a corner house. And eventually, as this continues to grow, as you can see, from the banana pups I have, from my citruses, I got juju beans right there. As you can see, as they continue to grow, I think people are going to have a much healthier respect for what I'm doing here. And it's going to provide a much better environment and inspiration than it already has. But if you follow me, you can obviously see I am layering my entire property with wood chips. This is extremely important in Phoenix and Arizona, especially if you're not up north in the hotter areas, for managing the climate and keeping the roots cooler for all your fruit trees and warmer during the winter and summers. It does so by about 15 degrees, depending upon the season. Another thing that I've personally been doing is I've been building raised garden beds. Some people prefer to plant in the ground. I'm not going to criticize anything. I personally prefer raised beds. I lower the cost of my raised beds and filling them by using the wood chips that I get and filling them pretty much about 60-70% full of wood chips. And then with the rest, I choose some really good organic soil. I mix in some worm castings, and I also mix in some peat moss to help keep in that water. Another thing that I'm actually going to have to do myself is actually come out here as it starts to heat up here in the summer months for Arizona, which we're still a bit away from. But I'm going to have to layer down either some straw or some wood chips just to help retain that water. That way I can actually save on my water bill. Come along, my personal design, and Ron Finley, he just says let it feel natural, just whatever feels right. For me, what felt right was I wanted a garden bed and a fruit bush. So I got a blackberry right here. It hasn't been planted that long, but it's doing pretty good. And I basically have, as you go along, raised garden bed, fruit bush, raised garden bed, fruit bush, and then right here in the middle I have all my fruit trees. You can see I've got a pinky apple right there, I've got a fig, I have got myself an orange right here, I've got a lime, 2 cherries right here, which I'm really excited about, the dark cherries. They haven't quite started blooming yet, but they're starting to bud. And if we give it about another month or so, I'll take another video and you'll see that they're starting to blush out as it starts to warm up, because it's been the winter months, and with the cold snaps, they've been dormant. But now that it's warming up, they're starting to come to life. Behind me, you can see in one of my beds, I got a lot of broccoli started. I've got some lettuce in here too. Got more lettuce over here. I've got some peppers coming up. Really, these seeds have just taken longer to germinate just because of the temperature. It is important to plant the appropriate vegetables for the appropriate season, especially in Arizona. Most plants are going to do well in Arizona, but if you are not following the seasons, you're not going to get as much of a yield, and they may not taste as good as they would if you plant them during the appropriate time of year. I will cover that in future videos as well. This is just the start of what I'm trying to do in introducing myself. My goal, as you can see, this is the outside of my property. This is going to be for the neighborhood. I want the neighborhood to be able to come by and collect fresh produce, healthy food for their friends, their family, just to lower the cost of, one, their bills, their health costs, and increase the nutrients that they're bringing into their body. That's important. It's important what you take in. Your gut biome is something that actually matters, and a lot of people don't know about. But your gut biome is extremely important to stay healthy. And a lot of the processed foods we have do not help create healthy gut biomes. And they create a lot of diseases that we can just prevent if we were just to eat a little bit healthier. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to claim to be. I love my meat. I love my steaks. But small things like this can help increase your health. As we move along, you can obviously see my pomegranate. This, just a few weeks ago, was completely dormant. It's already blushing out. You can see on the branches, it's doing fine. A lot of people, that's another misconception. A lot of new gardeners think that when all the leaves fall off a tree, it died. But I just knew this was dormant. It was going to come back. And you can see the results already. That's another thing, just research, pick your own credible sources, talk to other experienced gardeners. There's a lot of great apps like the Nextdoor app that you can download. You can join gardener communities for the community you're in. People will give you advice. People will give you seeds. People will give you fruit tree cuttings. They will give you all sorts of things to help you in your journey. Because honestly, gardeners, you can't shut us up. We love talking to each other. We'll talk your ear off. But these are the newer beds that I just built. I do have some stuff rooting already. I have some onions coming up actually in this bed. I also have some tomato plants that are just new seedlings as well that have been popping up in the beds. And as the weeks go by, I'm gonna love to show you what it looks like. I also am gonna have to show you my backyard, which I'll definitely open my RV gate for. This is actually where I started this entire project for. I was focusing on my own backyard. Part of the reason is to be sustainable. I do want to provide free, healthy produce for the community. I also have to make money myself. So I would appreciate if you support me in joining and looking me up in the Harvest My Platform app. That is where I will be launching my business. And I will be selling fresh produce to anyone who wants to buy it out of my backyard. Everything out here is still going to stay for free for the community. But that would be a huge support for me and what I am trying to accomplish. I also have a website that I started, which is rebuildinglifegardens.com. I will be selling garden beds in all different sizes. I will even build custom beds for you if you want. I'll show you the custom bed I built. It was the second bed I built from my first video and the time lapse. And it was a learning experience, but I've appreciated this journey so much because of how much I've learned and the skills that I've gained, and I just want to share it with you. They're all reasonably priced for the size and the quality. They're going to be much better than things you can get. I'm not criticizing Lowe's or Home Depot, but much more cost effective and much larger for the price. And that's just the benefit I'm providing people because I'm a smaller provider that can afford to do that. So, during the past 9 months, and this is where I started. I got a Barbados cherry right back there. That's actually really going to start picking up. They love the heat. So now that it's warming up, I'm going to start seeing a ton of new growth on that. I did decided to hang some of my strawberry plants, which I'm doing 2 different methods. I'm doing hanging strawberry plants, and I'm also planting some in the ground. Like I said, I'm new to this. I'm going to share as I learn, and I want to tell you what works, what doesn't work, and I don't want to lie to you. But I have built more garden beds right here, and you can see my passion fruit vine back there. That's literally just crushing it right now. I don't know if it's going to come back. I used to have a banana pup right by those tomatoes right there, which are just crushing it. But my puppies killed it. Puppies love the sugar in the core, or the stem of the fruit tree when it comes to banana pups. It tastes delicious to them. They love clawing at it. This is also why I started 2 banana pups in the front of my property where my pups don't have access. That way I can get some successful ones coming up and show you how that works. And I will continue as I grow. But I have got everything you can imagine back here. Plums, I have pears, I have figs, I have limes, I have cherries, I have pomegranates, I have guavas, I have mangoes. It's all going to be coming up and just continually doing well. I have experimented also with container growing, small container growing. I've had success and I've had failure. And I can tell you honestly that the only thing that really matters when it comes to container growing, especially if you're using anything that's plastic, is air. You need to have air and drainage to allow that water to come out. Water is important, but air is the most. Just like us, plants need to breathe. This is my broccoli though, as you can see. I'm actually going to be harvesting it, and I actually got a ton of bees right now, a whole bunch of healthy pollinators coming around, and they won't mess with you. If you don't mess with them, they just want to do their business. They want to come back here, they want to help pollinate your plants, and they want to help everything fruit, whether that's vegetables, fruits, whatever it may be. As long as you're not messing with them, they're not going to mess with you. I know a lot of people are scared of bees. It's just part of gardening, especially as you start planting those flowers to attract pollinators, and you start planting vegetable plants that flower and fruit plants that flower. They're going to be there. So just let them do their thing. Don't mess with them. They'll let you do your thing. As you can see, I got some apples right here. I also have another. This was a pear that went dormant, and as you can see, it's already starting to flush out and bloom again. And that's just like I said, because the temperatures are coming back in Arizona, starting to warm up at night. We're not dealing with those freeze points and the low temperatures below the 40s. Right now, we're in between the 45s to 55, depending upon the morning. So it's really not that much trouble. Actually, it's pretty much between 50 and 55 right now, which makes plants happy, and it's only going to continue to warm up. This is my other pomegranate. It's been a little bit slower, but this one as well is starting to flush out and starting to bloom again. Like I said, a lot of people think that your fruit tree is dying just because the leaves fall off. That's not true. As long as you're not in a colder climate, and this is why my channel is specific to Phoenix, Arizona in general, because as long as you're not in a colder climate zone, you're going to be fine. You really don't have to protect these or baby them too much. There are some fruit trees which you do need to tend to and care to prevent them from freezing off, and we'll cover that in later videos. But for the most part, if you're choosing Arizona native trees or trees that do well in Arizona, they're going to do fine. Don't worry, they're going to come back. Just give them that time. As you can see, this is my first bed that I built, and I have expanded this a lot. I still have work I got to do. I am going to be cutting little gates for myself so I can actually come in here and tend to this a lot more than I have been. I've got lettuces in here. I have multiple different types of peppers. I have got cherry tomatoes. I've got weeds because I haven't come in here in a bit. But that is one of my first priorities. I'm going to be cutting little gated openings with twist ties that I can get into, but also keep my puppies out because they are one of my number one menaces. I also have cats that come back here too, and it helps keep them out as well. And these are actually some of my more mature, indeterminate tomato crops, and they do not die. As long as you can keep tomato plants healthy, disease-free, if you can protect them from low temperatures, if you can protect them from everything that would hurt them and cause them to die, tomato plants can actually live for years, despite what some people say. You do not have to pluck them out, you do not have to pull them out. I literally started these 9 months ago, and they're still going strong, and they're just continuing to fruit and produce for me. If you were to come in here, you can see all sorts of tomatoes that are actually, see if I can get some right here. There's some right here. A whole bunch actually right now. But if you look right here, you can see all sorts of tomatoes that are still fruiting. They are just developing, and they're actually starting to mature. I temporarily took the soil and peat moss out of my tires. In the neighborhood I live in, this was completely free. The Gangster Gardener talks about it too. He actually grabbed everything from freezer doors to refrigerator doors to cabinets to everything else. The main important thing that I just want to stress is airflow. Airflow is the key. Drainage is the key for your plants to stay healthy and successful. Otherwise, you're going to drown them. They're going to die. It's just going to happen. There's other contributing factors, but those are the most important. And these tires were 100% free for me. And I usually place these wherever I want. And then I will plant either cantaloupes, watermelons, even pumpkins out of these. And I'll just let them sprawl. At least that's what I did last year. Personally, this year, and I will share videos on it, I personally am gonna bind them up, and I'm gonna get some stakes just to do more vertical gardening to save me the space. That way I can actually walk around, because I will tell you, these vines go everywhere. It can be a menace, and with my puppies running around, I want them to have their space. So this year I will actually let them, I'm gonna have them go vertical, but if you have the space and you wanna use tires, you can even let them just go horizontal, spread out across the ground, and they will produce for you. Set that one down for right now. Beyond that, there are so many resources that you can find. This garden bed right here, this was actually my third garden bed. I found this for free, which it is sad, in Flagstaff. Bar went out of business. They used to use it for drinks. I'm actually going to be coming out here, and I have boards over right now because my puppies love to dig, and I would literally come out here and I would catch them just sitting on top of my garden bed, just looking at me with the happiest face in the entire world. But I am going to get some cinder bricks, and I am going to raise it up. And once I raise it up to a healthy distance where my puppies aren't going to crawl into it, I am actually going to drill more holes in here for air. Because even though while I had some success in this bed, I personally had a lot of failure because there wasn't enough drainage and there wasn't enough air. Just things you learn once you start. And that's the most important thing. Just start. Start gardening. You're gonna fail, but you're gonna succeed, and you're gonna figure out what doesn't work, and you're gonna figure out what does work. And if you just reach out to, once again, other people through the Nextdoor app, or even me, I'd be more than glad to provide answers and answer questions. You're gonna find that there's so much help out there to teach you as you learn and as you have those failures. But in closing, I honestly, I'm a growing channel. I'm gonna continue to provide higher quality for you. I'm going to continue to learn, provide more information, provide more resources. This is a passion of mine. I didn't expect it to happen to me at the start of, obviously, March, April, when COVID-19 started. But I started working from home. I saved us 3 hours on the road, which wasn't fun every day. And I just decided to take those 3 hours and do something for you, for me, my family, and the community that would actually benefit, actually give back something, put something positive out into the world instead of focusing on all the negative. And I would appreciate you liking, subscribing, and sharing my content if you find value in it. That's all I can ask, but thank you. And I will see you next week.